Today's session focuses on hips and hamstrings. I'll be using a strap at the end. You might want to use a belt or a towel. We're going to start lying down on your mat. Take your feet to the outer edge of the mat and let your knees fall in towards each other. Then taking your hands onto your belly, we're going to do belly breathing. So taking a deep inhale into the belly, letting the belly fill like a balloon. And on an exhale, letting the belly fall back down. So focusing the breath into the belly area, trying to keep the chest and ribs still, continuing in your own time, breathing in and out of the belly. Taking one last deep inhale and exhale, and then stretching your arms up above your head and stretching your legs out. And slowly bending the knees, pulling both knees in towards your chest. Have a little rock side to side here, massaging the lower back. Then hugging just your right knee into your chest, we're going to stretch the left leg out down onto the mat. Now taking your right hand onto the right knee, we're going to open out that right knee to the right. You can put your left hand on your left hip here just for a bit of weight. This is a gentle hip opener. Bringing the knee back to center, then using the left hand to take that knee over to the left and take your right arm out to the right. Bringing the knee back into the center and then switching sides. So we're hugging the left knee into the chest, stretching out the right leg. And using your left hand to take that left knee out to the left and using the right hand on your right hip just for a bit of weight. Bringing the knee back to center, then using your right hand to take that knee over to the right and take the left arm out to the left. Releasing the knee back to center, we're going to come into eye of the needle pose. So taking your right ankle onto your left thigh, you're going to pull your left thigh towards you and flex both feet. Slowly releasing and switching sides, taking the left ankle onto your right thigh, pulling the right thigh towards you and flexing both feet. And release, and then rocking yourself up to sitting. And we're going to come into tabletop, so onto hands and knees, making sure your shoulders are above the wrists and hips above the knees, and loosening up the spine with cat-cow. So on an inhale, we're dropping the belly, tilting the pelvis, opening the chest and looking up. And then on an exhale, we're rounding the spine, chin to chest, drawing the navel in towards the spine. So again, inhale, expanding the chest, looking up, and exhale, rounding the spine, chin to chest. Again, inhale, opening the chest, and exhale, rounding the spine. One more inhale, expanding the chest. And again, exhale, rounding the spine. Coming back to a neutral tabletop, we're going to come into a low lunge, bringing the right foot forward. So you want the right knee over the ankle, hips are squared to the front, and on an inhale, reaching both arms up. Coming into a psoas stretch, we're going to take the right hand behind the back all the way to the side of the left hip, and then reaching the left arm up and over to the right. And inhale, reaching both arms up, and then exhale, taking the hands, fingertips down to the mat. We're going to start to shift the hips back, straightening out the front leg and flexing the front foot. So coming into a hamstring stretch. We're going to inhale to open the chest and lengthen the spine, and exhale, bringing the chest forwards. And bending the front knee, shifting the weight forwards. We're going to tuck the back toes under and lift the back knee, coming into runner's lunge. Now leaving the left palm on the mat, we're going to inhale, reaching the right arm up, and if you've got your balance, looking up to the ceiling. And releasing that hand down to the mat, dropping the back knee, slowly coming back to tabletop, and we'll do the same on the other side. So bringing the left foot forward, left knee over the ankle, on an inhale, reaching both arms up. Coming into our psoas stretch, we'll take the left hand behind the back to the side of the right hip and reaching the right arm up and over to the left. And inhale, reaching both arms up, and exhale, dropping the hands down to the mat. We're going to shift the hips back, start to straighten out the front leg, flexing the front foot, and then inhale to open the chest, and exhale, taking the chest forwards. And bending the front knee, shifting the weight forwards. We're going to tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, coming into runner's lunge. Taking the right palm on the mat, we'll inhale, lifting the left arm, and if you've got your balance, you can look up towards your hand. Releasing the hand back down to the mat, slowly coming back to tabletop, and we're going to come into downward dog. So tucking the toes under and lifting your hips up to down dog. We're sending the chest towards the thighs here, and we're going to start to walk the legs out here, loosening out the calves. So bending one knee at a time, and then pushing the other heel down towards the mat. And then we're going to switch sides. So walking out the legs here, loosening out the calves. Feet are about hip width apart. Now walking the feet up towards the top of the mat, we're going to hang forward in ragdoll pose, so keeping the knees bent, grabbing opposite elbows and hanging forwards. Taking the hands to hips, slowly roll up to standing, and then we'll do 2 rounds of sun salutation A. So on an inhale, reaching the arms up, and exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, hands on the shins, rolling the shoulders back. And exhale, hands to the mat, stepping back to a plank pose. So in plank pose, you want a nice long spine and strong core, and you want to roll the shoulders back. One more inhale here. And on an exhale, we're going into chaturanga, so keeping the elbows tucked in as you drop down. Then point the toes on the tops of the feet. Inhale to upward dog, opening the chest to the front. And then exhale, we're tucking the toes under, lifting the hips back up to down dog. In down dog, your feet are about hip width apart. Your fingers are spread wide, pushing the palms and fingers firmly down into the mat. You want to look like an upside down V shape, sending your chest towards your thighs, keeping your hips high and spine long. Then bending the knees, looking forward on an inhale, stepping up to the top of the mat, halfway lift. and exhale, forward fold, and then inhale, reaching the arms up, and exhale, hands to heart. And again, inhale, reaching the arms up, exhale, bend the knees, forward fold, inhale, halfway lift, flat back, and exhale, hands to the mat, stepping back to plank pose. Rolling the shoulders back and down. One more inhale here. And then exhale to chaturanga with the elbows tucked into the sides. Point the toes on the tops of the feet. Inhale, upward dog. And then exhale, tuck the toes and lift the hips back to downward dog. And bend the knees, look forward on an inhale, stepping up to the top of the mat, halfway lift, and exhale, forward fold, and then inhale, reaching the arms up, and exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up, exhale, bend the knees, forward fold, inhale, halfway lift, and on an exhale, hands to the mat, but stepping only the right foot back, and then dropping the right knee down to the mat. Okay, we're going to come into a lizard pose, so taking the hands to the inside of the front foot, walking the left foot out to the left edge of the mat, and if you can, rolling onto the outer edge of that left foot. You can either stay up on your hands or walk your hands forward and then drop down onto your elbows. You can stay where you are in lizard pose, or you could try tucking your back toes under and lifting the back knee. Slowly releasing that back knee, slowly walking that foot back in, coming to tabletop, and we'll do the same on the other side. So bringing the right foot forward this time, take your hands to the inside, walk that right foot out to the right edge of the mat, rolling onto the outer edge of the foot, and then either stay up on your hands or walk your hands forward and then drop down onto your elbows. You can stay right where you are, or you could tuck your back toes under and lift the back knee. So we're going to push the left heel to the back here to really lengthen that left leg. And dropping the back knee down onto the mat, slowly coming back to tabletop, and then coming into a child's pose. So taking the knees apart, sitting the hips all the way back, reaching the arms out in front, and taking your head down to the mat. And coming back up to tabletop, we're then going to come into another downward dog. So tucking your toes under, lifting the hips, sending the chest towards the thighs, back into downward dog. And dropping down onto your knees, we're going to come into pigeon pose. Start by bringing your left knee forward to the back of your left wrist. Taking your left foot towards your right wrist, sinking the hips down, leveling out the hips, so sending left hip back, right hip forward. And you can either stay up on your hands or walk your hands forward and then drop down to your elbows, maybe taking your head down into your hands or your head down onto the mat. And walking your hands back up, we're going to slowly come back to a tabletop, and then we'll come into pigeon on the other side. So bringing your right knee forward to the back of the right wrist, taking the right foot towards the left wrist, sinking the hips down. Think about sending the right hip back, left hip forward. You can either stay up on your hands or walk the hands forward and then drop down, elbows down to the mat and head down to the mat. Slowly walking the hands back up, slowly coming back into a tabletop, and we're going to come into another child's pose. So taking the knees apart, sitting the hips back, taking the head down to the mat and reaching the arms out in front. And slowly coming up to sitting, we're going to come into a staff pose. So sitting on the mat with your legs stretched out, you're going to grab your strap. So feet are flexed, thighs pushing firmly down into the mat and spine nice and long. We're then going to loop your strap over both feet. We're going to inhale to open the chest and lengthen the spine. Exhale, taking the chest forwards. Feel free to grab your feet if you can do so, keeping the spine nice and long. Slowly release, and then taking the right foot to the inside of the left thigh, we're going to loop the strap over your left foot. And again, we'll inhale to open the chest and lengthen the spine, and exhale, taking the chest forwards. And slowly release, giving the legs a little shake, and then we'll switch sides, taking the left foot to the right thigh, looping the strap over your right foot, and again inhale to open the chest and lengthen the spine, exhale taking the chest forwards. And release, giving the legs a little shake. We're going to come into baby cradle pose, so bending your right knee, lifting your right foot. If you can, put the right foot into the left elbow and the right knee into the right elbow. Otherwise, just hold your leg somewhere and rock it side to side. And release that foot, switching sides. So we're bending the left knee, lifting the left foot, taking the left foot into the right elbow and the left knee into the left elbow. And we're rocking side to side. Releasing that foot and coming into cobbler's pose, bringing the soles of the feet together, bringing the heels in towards you. And then inhale to open the chest. And exhale, taking the chest forwards, maybe using the elbows to push your legs down gently. And release, but keep the feet together. We're going to come into a modified tortoise, so taking the heels further away from you, then taking your hands under your ankles, or maybe taking the elbows all the way down to the mat and reaching your hands to the tops of your feet. and release, and slowly coming to lie down on your mat, grabbing your strap. And looping your strap over your right foot, pushing your right heel up to the ceiling and lengthening the left leg down onto the mat for a hamstring stretch. Coming into a hip opener, we're going to take the strap into your right hand and then take the right foot out to the right side. Bringing the foot back to the middle and then taking the strap into your left hand, take the right arm out to the right and take that foot over towards the left for an ITB stretch. Slowly release, and then we'll switch sides, so looping the strap over your left foot, pushing the left heel up to the ceiling, and then lengthening the right leg down to the mat. Taking the strap in the left hand and taking that foot out to the left for a hip opener. Taking the foot back to center and then taking the strap into the right hand, take the left arm out to the left, take the foot over towards the right for our ITB stretch. Slowly release and then coming into reclined cobbler's pose, taking the soles of the feet together and letting the knees fall out to the sides, taking your hands to the sides, palms facing up. Slowly release and coming into happy baby pose, we're going to bend the knees, grab the outsides of the feet and pulling the knees down towards the armpits. You can stay still here or you can gently rock side to side. And release. We're going to come into Shavasana pose, our final resting pose. You can either take your feet to the edges of the mat, let your knees fall in towards each other, or you can straighten your legs out, take the feet down to the corners of the mat. Taking your hands at the sides, palms facing up, and releasing the shoulders down into the mat. Then on an inhale, clenching your fists, and exhale, release. Inhale, clenching your feet, and exhale, release. And inhale, clenching your face, and exhale, release. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, and then slowly bending your knees and rolling onto your right side, staying here for another couple of breaths. And when you're ready, slowly coming up to sitting. And thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it.